I don't know about you, but I think the Canes are back. Welcome, everybody, to a new episode of Sidelines, the first one of 2026 through the Plug Talk Sports family. Also, I think it's the first any podcast of 2026. So happy New Year. It's a little late to say happy New Year. I think that's maybe after the second day. I think maybe Larry David even said something about that, curb your enthusiasm. Either way, speaking of curbing your enthusiasm, let's curb our mindset now as we go into the final four of the college football playoffs. That's right, only 4 teams. It just felt like September was yesterday. Well, that's long gone. Now we have ourselves the Fiesta Bowl and now the Peach Bowl. We'll talk about those teams. And of course, because again, we haven't really been on with the holidays. And again, happy Hanukkah, Christmas, happy New Year. Get all that aside. Let's get back to talking sports and football. So we'll talk about that. What the loop happened in Pittsburgh, in the AFC North, the crown on getting through. So we'll talk about that, the recent head coaching news that happened in the NFL of one of those 2 teams between Baltimore and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I guess we all already know if you ever live under a rock. So, and does it have any Miami ties with the Miami Dolphins finding a new GM and also the head coach not being part of those GM talks? So we have all of that. We also have a very special guest coming in the show. Stay tuned. Again, this is the first one in 2026 Sidelines episode coming up. So welcome, everybody, to Sidelines. Of course, I am joined by Jonka Don't Stop, and, of course, myself, Brandon Hernandez. Jonka, just want to double-check you're with us. Oh, you might not be with us. Might be muted. But I want to open up the page to give us started here. Oh, there we go. I hear you now.
There we go. Gotcha.
Okay, good. Okay, good. I'm telling you, the technology,
yeah,
it's
you're
like
just in and out a little bit.
Okay, in and out. Okay. Yeah, the technology is always something. It's always something.
Or we'll make it work.
I got you there. But, this is the first one of our episodes of 2026. Of course, we've been gone on all platforms on Plug Talk Sports from the holidays. But I do want to give people a quick recap of what the Miami Hurricanes have been doing during this time period. They went through Texas A&M in a very sluggish fight, went through a 10-3 win on the road in Aggie Land, and then from College Station to Dallas in Arlington and Jerry's World in the Cotton Bowl, beating out the defending champs 24-14. And that was a game where you can really have to say safely the Canes controlled the majority of that game. Maybe the third quarter, there was a little bit of a sleight of hand where okay, Ohio State's offense woke up. What are they going to do? But the defense showed up and the pass rush showed up very big. So, John, I do want to talk about it because we weren't able to talk about with the New Year's and all that. But, again, very fresh in a lot of people's minds. The Canes part of the Final Four teams after being the defending champs, Ohio State. And there was a few people, even in our own department here, that said that whoever came out of Texas A&M, would get smoked. And, again, the Canes coming in as a 9-point underdog, 9.5 point, and they did the smoking. So, John, what's your thoughts on these Canes, man?
Bro, you know me. I'm just living in the moment right now. Heading into the game this coming Thursday. I'm not trying to do too much smack talk because I don't want to make it come back and bite me in the ass. But excuse my language, but still, we all know we want this. But talking about that game though, yeah, we had a couple people here that thought because Ohio State had won last year that they were automatic bids, even though the spread was 9.5 favorites for Ohio State. It was I had told Daniel, which he was one of the ones that thought it was basically a deal breaker that Ohio State was going to win it.
Mm-hmm.
But I had told him, well, he believed that the Ohio State offensive line and defensive line were better than Miami's. I didn't think so. I was like, I don't know about that, buddy. Maybe last year, but not this year's. Bo Jackson, I think he was up to 45 yards.
Yeah. Also, am I the only one that was kind of confused hearing that, randomly on the TV? I'm at work and I hear Bo Jackson with another first down. I'm like, What year?
Yeah, I feel like the only reason Ohio State even tried to recruit this guy was because of his name. If his name would have been some ordinary thing, it didn't nobody they would have never picked him up. He's a
Yep.
good running back. He's not bad, but he's not a Quinshon Judkins or a Travion Henderson. So
Yeah.
that O
And that was
line, and I think missing the right tackle or the right guard was kind of a hit to them. But still, doesn't matter. You have to play who you have to play. Um, I just think once Miami got that pick six with Keontae Scott, I think Ohio State was like on like alert. Like
yeah.
it's like, bro, we need to wake up. We need to do something. And then once they missed that field goal to end the half, and it was a 14-0 shutout in the first half, I was just like, do we have a blowout in our hands? Now the box score doesn't show that it was a blowout. But I just think if you just watch the game, Miami dominated on the offensive line and defensive line and just smoked them. Like, and the running game too. Mark Fletcher and Gerard Pringle were phenomenal. And Ruben
Yeah.
Bain and Messidor and everybody else were just doing their jobs. I don't know what happened with Jeremiah Smith. He did his thing, but I feel like their game plan was, sure, let him get his catches. You know, he's going to have some big plays. You know, he's going to get his. But if you prevent everybody else from doing their thing, we could live with Jeremiah Smith getting his. And I think that's what happened. Carnell Tate was kind of avoiding a lot of the DBs because of how hard they were hitting.
Yeah.
I
And
think
he
there was
wasn't
one
like
crucial hit where he anticipated the contact, and that's why he wasn't able to pull that catch in, which basically led to a punt. Listen, I'm as up till right now, I am excited. I think this is what Mario Cristobal has been working up, recruiting, and building up to this point, where Ruben Bain, Messidor, the accumulation of talent through the portal and recruiting every single year, finding the right coordinators. You know, we had Josh Gattis the first year, then we got Shannon Dawson as our offensive coordinator, Lance Guidry as our defensive coordinator. Let go of him last year after basically giving up a chance for Cam Ward to win one. And now we get Corey Heatherman, who I think has been the biggest, I think should be the biggest story in college football after the turnaround he's had for this program on the defensive side of the game for Miami. Bro, I don't know what more to say. Like, I
it's
can't
the
give
best
more
defense right now in the nation. It is the best defense right now in the nation. We're talking about four
Seriously.
first half sacks against Sand. And also because we talked about this, previously in the year when we saw Ohio State winning those games and getting the big competition. Yeah. You can't really trust Sand in a lot of those type of games. I mean, a sophomore kid, and you talk about Jeremiah Smith. I was going to say, because you mentioned Tate, I don't think Tate got a lot of targets in this game. I thought that State was just looking for Jeremiah, and it worked out again in the third quarter where they basically had they had more passing yards than us. Well, apologies, than the Canes. They had more rushing yards than the Canes, I believe, at the end of the day. And when you look at Jeremiah Smith's overall stats in that game, we're talking about a rushing yard, 7 receptions, which leads the team, and 157 yards through the air, a touchdown, 22 and a half average, longest 59 yards on a catch. So we're talking about a guy that has 158 scrimmage yards overall on the field. That was the most impact that we saw from this Ohio State team. Miami's defense, and from whether the Aggies game or the Ohio State game, the pass rush has a lot of Sunday players, like guys that you expect are going to be first rounders without a doubt, if not second rounders. Like Akeem Mesidor will be one of them. Bain will be one of them. Scott, most likely. Keontae Scott has been that guy this postseason.
He came back from injury in that Texas A&M game, by the way.
Exactly. Coming back in the right time. Him and Jacoby Thomas, that's a nightmare in hell for anybody out there playing wide receiver.
And I do have some news because I received when I was at work today. I was getting some news. Good news, by the way, breaking. Follow me on Canes on Stop if you want any Canes news. We did suffer some minor injuries in that Ohio State game. Starting corner, sophomore OJ Frederic, Ahmad Moten, Damari Brown, who's been out for a couple weeks, has been questionable. Maybe he's been questionable 50-50 to play this Thursday. And then we're missing, I think it's one more. Oh my God. I forgot who it is. I think it was Cole McConaughey, defensive line. But Ahmad Moten and OJ Frederick have both been been told from Corey Heatherman himself that he thinks that they're going to play. And apparently Damari Brown, starting corner Damari Brown, has been seen in practice the last couple weeks, and he may or may not see the field. Guys, I think we're seeing another situation with Keontae Scott, how he came back for Texas A&M game. If you guys don't know, Damari Brown is a South Florida kid, and he defended Jeremiah Smith in high school, and he did a pretty damn good job at it. If you can get him back, if it's for Thursday's game, and if miraculously, please God, for January 19th, him coming and playing in his hometown, bro, for the championship would be phenomenal. Huge. But it's a good sign to see all these defensive players being say, okay, given most likely they're going to be playing than not playing, especially on the defensive line. If you could stop Kawan Lacey on Ole Miss, and you got OJ Frederick guarding Stribling or Wallace, and then Damari Brown comes back and you have an extra depth piece at corner with experience, bro, that would be the icing on the cake for the Canes this Thursday. I don't want to get too hyped up. I don't want to.
Don't say too much. Don't say too much. We gotta wait for Friday, if not Thursday midnight. Because again, we're talking about the Fiesta Bowl on Thursday. Their opponent, Ole Miss, and the Rebels against Georgia. Now, if there was a game of the year, this could be up for contention. 39-34 victory over the Georgia Bulldogs. The Rebels on top in the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans. And this was a team, and Jonka, you even said it yourself. Like, oh, should they move down because of Lane Kiffin gone? Or like, oh, what's going to happen with the assistant coaches? Are they leaving the LSU already? Why the hell is the interim LSU head coach on Ole Miss sideline already hired?
Bro, like, it's crazy.
It's insanity. And that game was insanity. When you talk about Ole Miss, Trinidad Chambliss, insane. 362 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. When he gets going, he is one of the best players in the nation. Like, I don't know where exactly they found him in Division II. I don't know if he's going to get that 6-year eligibility to return to Ole Miss, which another thing I've noticed too about this roster, a lot of people returning to the Rebels, and Pete Golding, the new head coach. And again, an offensive team through and through, with Lane or not. This team was electric. Kawan Lacey, obviously one of the top backs right now in football. And if you really look at what happens with and really, I think the biggest thing was just Georgia collapsing. I didn't think they had a lot of playmakers out there this year. Stockton had the ball for 5 seconds till he got rocked in the air every single time.
I told you.
I think the Bulldogs just got cocky. I think that's really what it was.
I was saying it the whole year. I just didn't think Georgia's Gunnar Stockton in particular wasn't standing out to me. I think he was just another Julian Sand, another Marcel Reed, that when you apply pressure on them, they tend to turn the ball over and actually create plays. Now, this guy, Trinidad Chambliss, he's like the final boss of like the dual threats, bro. Like he's a Marcel Reed where he can extend plays with his legs, but he's also like really good at passing.
And did you see the one where like he went all 20 yards back?
Yes,
like,
bro.
Zone, just for a third down.
I just think if we're gonna win this game, I think our pressure from our D-line is gonna have to really like put the pedal to the metal. Good thing is it's a neutral site in Arizona, so there's not really much of a favorable side for when it comes to like the fans. But I think I heard. I don't want to take somebody's credit for this, but Ruben Bain's going to do his thing. Messidor's going to do his thing. But I think the one guy that I think has been not talked about enough is Marquise Lightfoot, the other edge. Man, this guy, he's not as big, he's not as good or technique wise as Messidor and Bane, but he's quick and ferocious.
Yeah.
And people just don't focus on him because of Messidor and Bane. They just like, oh, where's Messidor, where's Bane? Like, I gotta focus on them too. But then you notice that this guy is also like pretty damn good. He can get to you. And then obviously, like if everybody on the D line with Justin Scott, Moten, and Armando Blunt and everybody else can come and get you, buddy. I've been hearing people say Miami's gonna blow them out. I would love to see that happen. To be honest, I would love to see the SEC lose another bowl game, which I think you've been noticing. SEC's not as good anymore. But
Mizzou. It's on. You know, the one thing I would say about that though, in the SEC, if you're not going to the playoffs, then the season's kind of over, right? Like the biggest thing, like the really Quest Bowl with Iowa and Vandy, Vanderbilt did not care. Diego Pavia losing the Heisman, not even getting the playoffs, and then Iowa comes in like, oh, we gotta prove a point. Oh, we gotta prove for the season. Vandy didn't care, which honestly is crazy to think that Vanderbilt is at that part of their program where it's like, okay, a bowl game, whatever. A Vanderbilt bowl game would mean something like 5 years ago, truthfully.
I mean, if they didn't care, why would Diego Pavia even try playing that game?
I don't know. I mean, again, his last game as a Vanderbilt Commodore, but I mean, is Pavia even NFL?
I don't know. I think his NFL stock had dropped. How he handled the Heisman situation, I think it really tanked his stock. I really do think.
Yeah.
Maybe if you would have just not been a sore loser and you just take it like a man, because obviously you're not gonna beat Fernando Mendoza for the Heisman. So quit acting like you're the next savant.
Yeah. Shout out Southwest Miami-Dade.
Yep. Columbus.
So, but yeah, I mean, I don't see him going, and maybe a 7th rounder, maybe like a great Hard Knocks guy, great training camp guy. I see it as that.
I would honestly not. I would not be shocked. It might be a hot take. I would not be shocked if he doesn't get drafted.
I think that's a hot take.
I just say that because even when Shador wasn't even mentioned for many things, I think Shador played better than Pavia, and at least Shador didn't yeah, sure, he went in the 5th round, but damn, Diego Pavia actually ruined himself. Not he could still play,
yeah,
but just what team would want you after that situation?
Yeah, like going out of your way to a nightclub, saying oh, F this, F that. And again, it comes with a personality, but also Johnny Manziel's kind of your guy on your side for some reason. I don't know if that's going to root well for a lot of guys out there that are like scouts waiting for the NFL Combine to go. And again, maybe he shows out in the Combine or Pro Day or whatever he decides to do. I still see him because, again, this is a very, this isn't a you need to take a quarterback type of draft class. These QBs, Nate Moore is probably up there right now with Mendoza, and that's just saying nothing. I can't tell you a guarantee starter week 1 out of this rookie class for an NFL team today. Maybe Mendoza with the Raiders.
Right now we got Mendoza, potentially Dante Moore, Ty Simpson.
Yeah, but Ty doesn't even know what he want to do. Ty honestly might stick around.
I've been hearing rumors, bro. Ty Simpson to Miami.
That's disgusting.
I've been hearing rumors, bro. And then potentially, since Brian Hartline is now headed to USF,
yep,
Jeremiah Smith could be on the way out because that's basically who he went for. He didn't go for Ryan Day. He went for Brian Hartline and his development.
Yeah, your wide receivers coach leaves, and then he wouldn't go here. Yeah, but he wouldn't be a South Florida Bull though. He would be.
No. Obviously, he'd be I think he'd become a Miami Hurricane, bro. Imagine you play with your high school teammate JoJo Trader, with Malachi Tony, Ty Simpson at quarterback, with Mario Cristobal in South. Bro, come on, tell me that wouldn't be cinema.
And whoever that quarterback is, I mean, they're going to be in love with the whole core.
Also, hearing rumors with Sam Levitt, by the way. Levitt.
I believe more in the Sam Levitt rumors and reports than I do with any other report. The Ty Simpson thing, I still remember when people thought that Ty Simpson was going to be an NFL guy. after this year.
Yeah.
After he gets benched in the Rose Bowl, which, speaking of, this actually will be a really great segue now to the other side of the bracket for the college football playoffs. The Rose Bowl, who managed to get 3 million views on ESPN. I honestly thought the game was what we all expected to be, another Kirk Cignetti masterclass for Indiana, a statement for Indiana, waiting to be in the Rose Bowl for over 50 years. It felt like, as in basketball terms, it felt like the New York Knicks were actually playing a game of the NBA Finals. Like, it felt that electric for their fan base. And I mean, what else can you ask for? Defense was physical. An offensive lineman won player of the game, which was, I don't think that's ever happened at all in the Rose Bowl history, which is awesome to see. And Mendoza was just balling out, had multiple touchdowns here and there, had a 17-0 first half lead. Thought for a second it was going to be like an Oklahoma Sooners situation, but Bama didn't show up at all. I mean, Ty Simpson didn't have a lot of time to throw the ball. He gets benched. And, I think that a lot of people, especially when it comes down to the coaching carousel, like Kellen DeBoer was connected to Michigan. Kellen DeBoer was connected to a lot of places. John, I mean, obviously we have to talk about this Indiana team that's moving on, but I want to stick with Alabama just for a second. Do you think there needs to be change? Because, again, a playoff win, gone to the SEC championship game somehow, and people are saying that Kellen DeBoer isn't built for Alabama.
I mean, for anybody who doesn't know, I don't think Kellen DeBoer is the guy for Alabama, but I will say he did turn it around after that atrocious start to the season, losing the FSU. I'm not going to say that it should be a restart, but I do think, I mean, they might have been gifted getting into the playoff after losing 3 games.
Yeah.
Should have been Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Maybe you can make that argument. But I just think if I suggest try, I don't know, if Ty Simpson returns to college and stays with Alabama, go one more year and see what you can do. And if it doesn't work out and you still have an underwhelming season to Alabama standards. But we also, I honestly, in respect to Kellen DeBoer, after all the smack I've talked about him, for all the Alabama fans that are watching or that will watch in the future, you guys need to pump the brakes on what you expect from this guy. Like, you had the GOAT as your coach, bro. Like, it's Nick Saban. The next person you're going to get is going to be nowhere near Nick Saban. So, and Kirby Smart, that from the knowledge I know of, is not leaving Georgia. So, let's get that out of the way. You're not getting the next voodoo genius. So I think you guys need to really pump the brakes. Like when I lost Tom Brady and Bill Belichick was already gone, we went through our hard times. But we all accepted it. Like, all right, we're gonna have some lows like regular teams now. But you have to give it time. Give this guy a little bit of time. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't work out, that's fine. Every team goes through it, buddy. Every team goes through it.
Every team. Miami went.
You got to the playoff. Most teams can't even say they make it to the playoffs.
Yeah. Let alone
one more time. Try recruiting, get some better players. You're losing some players to the draft. Focus on your recruiting. Get some portal guys that you think you need. Get some better weapons for Ty Simpson, which I think Ryan Williams is being the only good target has hurt him.
And he hasn't even been utilized. He hasn't been utilized at all.
Underutilized. It's been because everybody knows that if you just double Ryan Williams, he's not going to go to anybody else.
Yeah.
Alabama has been known for having 3 to 4 good wide receivers on a single team that go first round. Maybe that's because Nick Saban was a really good recruiter and he knew talent. Maybe Kevin DeBoer isn't that guy. So he's going to have to find his way in getting somebody in the portal to pair with Ryan Williams, and maybe next year you guys can make a run. But this notion that you need to get rid of him already in Alabama is a tad overinflated. I'll just say that.
It is overinflated because, again, you brought that team to an SEC championship appearance, and I said it throughout the entire year. Like Texas A&M, they should have been in the SEC championship game. They were the team to beat in the SEC in my imagination. One loss, and that defined them, and I have put Bama in there. So there's a lot of good things from the board. I think the program has progressed, but again, when you look at the Rose Bowl, though, their running game, Ty Simpson had the most rushing yards in this one with 17. Right behind on the back, Daniel Hill with 13. They got to be more aggressive as a team moving forward, and maybe now you can say this is a major shift point that kind of confirmed it with this game that, the Big Ten is above the SEC now in a sense of talent. Maybe that is true, probably is true right now because, Indiana's obviously tough. And then you look at Ohio State, defending champ. Michigan won the year before that. And funny enough, perfect segue to the Orange Bowl now where we saw another Big Ten team dominate against a Big 12 opponent in Texas Tech versus Oregon. I think that Dan Lanning and this Oregon Duck team, they treat this as if it was like the NFL. If there's any coach that can go into like an NFL job right now, it might be Dan Lanning. You blow out a team 23-0. Defense has a perfect game. Guys come into the locker room talking about, we're not finished. We're not done yet. Dan Lanning in press conference talking about, our guys didn't leave the hotel room. We can't enjoy the bowl game because we have to be on our mindset. We can't leave the hotel. We can't do anything. It's insanity to me to see that out of a coach, but it's also, a Nick Saban disciple type of structure he's got. All four coaches right now in the Final Four come from the Nick Saban coaching tree. And I think the biggest one will be in the Peach Bowl, Indiana versus Oregon. This is enough talent and enough name coverage that it should be a final game. This feels like a championship game in the Peach Bowl in Atlanta, Georgia. Jonka, I'm telling you right now, for Kurt Signetti, the revenge game for the Oregon Ducks on neutral site. And the Ducks, the crazy thing about them, because again, the team travels more than the fan base, Oregon plays in New Jersey for some reason, Big Ten schedule, whatever. I think it's going to be a lot of Indiana fans in Atlanta. I think it's going to be a lot of Crimson Red going on there.
I don't know, man. It's tough because after watching that Oregon game, bro, not gonna lie, I was impressed by that defense. Especially, the defense shut Texas Tech, the Red Raiders, out. I'll say that. They shut them out. But the only reason I'm not as impressed is offensively is because you only scored 23, and this team, Oregon has so many weapons on offense, it's ridiculous. But Texas Tech didn't give them a fight defensively, but offensively, you could just tell they were so bad. It was terrible.
Wasn't their best game. 6-0 in the first half.
Yeah, and then it blew out. And then what's his name, bro? The guy, Brendan Finney Jr., bro, with two
interceptions in this game.
Two interceptions, bro. That guy was everywhere, bro. Pass blocks, batted down balls. This guy intercepting the ball. This guy was everywhere. I don't know who to root. I'm going to root for Mendoza to go and to play at home, but
of course,
here's a situation where I'm dealing with Brandon. This is my situation because there's two stories that can go if, please God again, if Miami makes it to to January 19th. If Indiana makes it to the championship, you've got the narrative of Mendoza being a Columbus alum and Mario Cristobal being also a Columbus alum, and then both being from Miami and the whole Miami story. But then at the same time, you have Oregon, who was the previous team that Mario Cristobal coached before coming to Miami. And there was a lot of drama when that happened. That both these narratives would be ecstatic. Bro, it would be cinema.
Best storylines in football. Best storylines.
Okay, here's a question for you.
Yeah.
What do you see happening more? Do you think Oregon can score more on Indiana's defense, or Indiana's offense scoring more on Oregon's defense? Because I think that's what the game is going to come down to.
Yeah, I honestly think it's going to be more of a defensive matchup. When these teams first played, it was very kind of slow, and then you look at the Big Ten championship, and when competition plays against really good competition, it's like who makes the first mistake. I think both of these teams are cutting edge smart, where both of these coaches are just like, hey, get on assignment. We're not going to risk this. Hold on. But I would give Indiana the advantage. Like the way that Indiana plays football more recent than ever has been passing it down the fields. Mendoza using his legs, which I think is like a biggest game changer. I saw that on the Rose Bowl where Mendoza's getting yards after yards. And I mean, even like during the season against Big Ten, opponents, there's not a lot of guys out there, especially in today's college football, where like, yeah, we have a mobile quarterback that can take the hits. Like, I know this is like a little bit out of the blue, but like Carson Beck putting his shoulder down on a third at like 11.
Took it.
I think everyone was shocked seeing that. Like, I wasn't expecting that out of Beck.
That's his injured elbow.
His injured side of his hand, shoulder, whatever, and he just rolls on it.
Bro, I was in disbelief when that happened. I'm like,
yeah, couldn't believe it. So the fact that they have that guy at quarterback for Indiana with a similar mentality where like he's gonna get that yard. He's gonna, as he says, go 99 yards with his boys. Glory to God, given the opportunity. Like, I love that energy. So now again, I think it's gonna be a slow game. I don't think it's gonna be a shootout like you're saying though. Because if it's a shootout,
I don't think it's gonna be a shootout. It's just a hypothetical question of who do you think is gonna score more when it comes down to it? Do you think Indiana's offense?
Well, Indiana
is gonna have an easier time scoring on Oregon's defense, or vice versa?
I think it's gonna be more Indiana. I'm not a big believer in Nate Moore when it comes to in the clutch. Now, again, this is an Oregon team that has been battle tested. I forgot Dante Moore.
Dante Moore? Oh, okay, there we go.
I don't know why I keep on saying Nate. It rolls off the tongue better. Is that like a UFC guy? I feel like that's a UFC guy.
Nate
Moore? I don't know.
No idea, bro.
I don't know. Chad, if you're listening, please look that up. But again, Dante Moore, I understand this team is battle tested, playing in Penn State, overtime, close game, going on the road in a lot of hostile environments, clutch moments by the defense. But that's the thing, by the defense. I haven't seen a lot from this Oregon offense that tells me, yeah, these guys can blow you out. These guys can get points whenever needed. This is a very big defensive team, in my opinion.
I'm looking at the stats here right now. The last game against Alabama, which we just saw this past weekend, Indiana rushed for a team 215 yards. Rushed.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think Alabama's defense is as good as Texas Tech. That's just me. Now, Oregon rushed for 64 yards, which is a little bit more normal. I just don't know, man. I just think right now, I know like Indiana's on a Cinderella story, and it would be one of the greatest like turnarounds in program history or in college football history.
Yeah, period.
But Oregon is on like a real I don't know, we're kind of a revenge tour or something.
Yeah, no, they're locked in. Like how we talk about the Canes like throughout the year, like, hey, these guys are locked in for like one goal. Oregon's locked in on one goal.
I just think all three. I think Ole Miss. I think all these four teams are on a quest to do something, because Oregon, the narrative is that they spend so much money every year on uniforms and commercials and just getting recruits because of the flash for it being Oregon and the Nike. Indiana being because it would be a crazy turnaround from how the program. Miami, you already know, and then Ole Miss being with all this Lane Kiffin stuff and him leaving and not really believing in the team, and then proving everybody wrong.
Yeah, and that's another story for everybody. That's another storyline. What happens with Ole Miss? Let's say for the first time since 1950, like their best season all time in program history, they win it without Lane Kiffin. Does Lane even get a ring? Like, do they even acknowledge that?
That's a question right there, bro.
I don't know, man. I don't know, because Lane is still apparently getting paid. He's already been paid over $500K. I think probably way more than that by now with all these wins. But I'm telling you, the storylines are insane. Now, Miami, obviously, a lot of people want to see the Canes get in. Us as South Florida natives, I think it'll be pretty insane to see Miami win a championship in South Florida, like the old Orange Bowl days. But let's say Ole Miss gets in, though. Do they
Okay.
even have a chance against an Indiana Oregon squad? Whoever makes on the other side.
If it's against Oregon, I think they do. Because I just think Dante Moore, as good as he is, he's I don't think he's there yet in his development yet. I don't think he's NFL ready. So I think he will return one more year, even if he wins a championship or not.
I mean, again, we're
Same
talking
thing
about a
with Ty Simpson. I
potential.
think he should stay one more year.
Yeah, but that's a top 10 pick potentially, though, in Dante Moore.
Yeah, but like, do you want to really be that quarterback that comes in too early and then goes into the NFL and then looks like dog water and then you just lost on your career because you ended up not working out?
You know what's funny, too, about this? Because we literally had this exact same issue with the LSU quarterback, Nussmeier, where he was a
Nussmeyer? Yeah, bro. Same thing.
essentially top 5 quarterback NFL prospect, came back because Brian Kelly was like, oh, we could win it all. And now we don't even have him on draft boards, basically. So this might be his best
Yeah,
shot.
he's like a fifth, sixth rounder.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, for Moore, this might be his best shot to get a payday in the draft. I would do it
I
just
don't
because of
know. I think it would be great just to shake things up in the draft if Ty Simpson and Dante Moore and even Trinidad, if he decides to try to fight for one more year,
or yeah,
come
or
back for
let's say
next
there's
year.
no. Yeah.
Yeah, come back one more year, and then a lot of teams that were looking for quarterbacks are gonna have to wait a year or trade for a backup. I would love to see that, honestly. I think next year, if that were to happen, buddy, the cinema.
The cinema.
Oh
It's
God.
gonna be a movie. And honestly, it
And
will be a movie
you
this
don't
week as
understand. Do you know what it is to if that were to happen? If the top quarterbacks that everybody's trying to go for were to come back to college this season, and then everybody's draft boards would have to be scratched, and then all the other position groups would have to be elevated,
yeah.
bro.
No, I mean, think about because again, I think the funniest thing, because again, the Raiders were the number 1 pick who desperately need a quarterback. Imagine
I
getting
think.
screwed over being your first number 1 overall option since like what, LaMarcus Russell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like they can't catch a break.
I think I think Mendoza is going to go to the draft because I could be wrong, but I think they already got a commitment from Josh Hoover from Washington, I think, or
Yes.
TCU, that he's already committed to Indiana for next season. So I don't see Mendoza staying in Indiana after his draft stock is already probably the highest it could possibly be. Maybe he just wants more money, but that's another story for another day. Because like money runs college football right now. If we all don't know,
Yeah, he's not being shortchanged at all right now.
yeah, they just paid $5 million for Brendan Sorsby to go to Texas Tech.
Yeah.
I don't know if you
Also,
heard
I
about
have to
that.
say though, the Red Raiders, because of their success recently, that is no joke. That is oil
That's a good
money.
pickup.
That's a great pickup, and that is all oil money for that entire roster.
I think what they have to do right now is try to see if they can get the guy from Auburn, Cam Coleman. If they can get
Yeah.
him and maybe some other guys on offense, and then fire whoever their offensive coordinator is for this year, I think they have a shot. But they're going to be losing a lot of guys on the defensive side. So let's see what they do on there, because Miami's also been on that side where you have all good defensive players one year, they go to the draft, but then you have good offensive players, and you're just going on this limbo back and forth where
Yeah,
you
like
just can't have a complete team one year because everybody's inside and leaving in and leaving. Bro, this is why we all love college football. This is the time where it's fun to be alive and just watch pure. I'm gonna keep saying it, cinema and the narratives. Oh my god, Okay, wait. I asked Daniel this because he's in Australia right now. Shout out to Daniel in
yeah,
Australia.
shout out Daniel on another time zone.
If Miami pulls this off and wins it, and in Hard Rock Stadium, and the whole city goes and celebrates, Would you consider this the best college football run in history?
In history?
In history.
I don't know, man.
Think about it.
Like
You lose to SMU and you lose to Louisville. You get in as the 10th seed. You upset Texas A&M in Texas in Kyle Field. You go and you play the reigning champs. You beat that ass. You go and you beat Ole Miss. You come down here back to South Florida and you represent your city and all the boys. You win there. Honestly, how you have the hardest road to a championship. You win them all, and you win at home to represent South Florida.
Yeah, it would be cool. But I would also say this: how many national champions are there that are 2 lost teams? You know, because I know back in the day it was like the rankings. You have to be the number 1 team to win it all, and you know Miami gets the Cornhuskers. Obviously, back in the '80s was a huge one with Jimmy Johnson, or even that in the '90s. I'm thinking this would be, at least in the college football playoff era, the best championship run. That's what I would say.
What would you consider the best championship run then? Because I don't see it
right now. Oof. Well, 2018 Bama is a hard one. That's a hard one to overlook. I think that's a overtime win. Tua throwing that in. I think that's a hard one to overlook. The Clemson one, and I hate to say this because Deshaun Watson, you know, but that was also very, very impressive out of the ACC. Dabo Swinney's, what was that? His first championship, I think, with Deshaun Watson with the Clemson Tigers. I mean, but yeah, I mean, I do see the point. I think the biggest thing is that with this new bracket, like teams before that weren't having a playoff like this. Like back in the day, it was the AP ranking, and you just get the whatever. Then it was like the first, you know, the 4 teams or the BCS. This is a little bit different because it's like you got to really finish the year strong. So I would say so. It's right there with Alabama. It's right there with the 2018 Alabama. Because I don't think a lot of people were like, oh my God, you know, like there's another year that Bama wins, whatever. No, Bama had a fight for that stuff, you know. But the Canes in this year, I would say, yeah, in this college football playoff, it's the best team to win it.
Yeah, like especially like the first 2 games, they were underdogs, and now there are 3.5 favorites against Ole Miss. Which honestly, I don't even want the 3.5 points. Put us as underdogs because we're still being talked down upon. Like if we're still trash.
Also, isn't it insane where like this team used to be the number 2 team in the nation, and people forget about that?
They still talk, bro.
And they still talk. I get the 3 weeks.
People don't understand, bro. They don't get it.
I don't understand.
Okay. No. I hate this. I hate that narrative, bro. Let's put this. I want to put this out there, bro. For everybody that's listening right now. Yes, we lost to SMU and we lost to Louisville. Carson Beck had probably the worst 2 games to have a worst 2 games on. I get it. But at the same time, Miami was out 7 to 8 starters in like that 4 or 5 week span in the middle of the year. So that does make a difference. If you think 7 to 8 starters doesn't make a difference, then go ahead and do it on your team and see if you win a national championship. If 7 to 8 starters doesn't matter. So that narrative, we're like, oh man, how could Miami lose to Louisville and SMU? Last time I checked, SMU and Louisville were decent teams. One made it to the the ACC championship last year, and Louisville at the time had the number 1 rated offense in the country when they were playing Miami. So
yeah, and all those games,
it's
closed.
Not far fetched.
Yeah,
exactly. It's not like Miami. Like they play them every year, so the teams know what to expect from a team, especially that Shannon Dawson's been here for the last couple of years. They've seen the offense. They know what to do in situations. It's like basically an NFL division game where anything can go. You don't know what's going to happen in a division game. So that logic for me is already out the window, bro. I'm just saying it.
Yeah, it's hard to overlook. it's hard to overlook those things, but obviously it's like, man, this team and this talent, there's no way this team would have never missed out on an opportunity like this. And they're making their opportunities well known. Miami versus Ole Miss in the Fiesta Bowl, January 8th in Phoenix. And that is followed the day after by the Peach Bowl, Indiana, Oregon. Jonathan, before we go to the NFL side of things, quick part, I'm going to say my part of ideal winners. I got Miami over Ole Miss. I think the Canes defense is going to be a defense one type of matchup. And obviously, Mark Fletcher, the physicality. This might be the most physical team Ole Miss plays all year. So I got the Miami Hurricanes winning in the Fiesta Bowl. John, I don't think I got to ask about who you think is going to win that game. I have a pretty good idea. But I'm curious if you want to add on about it.
I'll add on. I don't want to give my prediction because, superstitions die hard. But I will say, if you can stop Trinidad Chambliss from extending plays, and the defense can still do what they do, and we can score points. If Georgia could score points with Gunnar Stockton and mediocre ass receivers, I'm not worried about Shannon Dawson and Malachi Tony and CJ Daniels and everybody else from scoring, to be honest. And especially, I think our offensive line is better and can withstand that defensive line from the Ole Miss. So I think Mark Fletcher, Gerard Pringle, maybe we even see a Jordan Lyle appearance. Came back from injury but didn't have a good year. Who knows? We have a surprise game from them, but I think this game could be a defensive game, but it could also be a blowout if Ole Miss struggles to score points. And I think Miami is low-key motivated to get that home playoff game or national championship game at home.
Yep.
So I think Miami wins this game. I don't know if it's going to be a blowout or not, but I do have Miami winning this game. Please God again. My God, please don't do this to me. But yeah.
Okay. Again, we got the Canes happening. I already said earlier in the show about what I thought about what's going to happen in the Peach Bowl. I think Indiana is going to go out of their way, beat on the last few drives the Oregon Ducks. I think that Indiana is going to push aside everything. Dan Lanning is going to be us versus them. Well, us is going to be leaving behind them, Indiana, in the national championship. Mendoza and a Heisman winning it and then going on to that of Miami Gardens, facing off the Canes. Jonka, I know you mentioned a bit about it, but Indiana as well, or you think Oregon's got a pretty good shot?
Again, I think these two teams, I think Indiana's offense is better right now than Oregon's, but I just think Oregon's defense is just either slightly better than Indiana's, but not much of a difference to make a. I just don't know what kind of if Oregon goes to on that slow start that they had against Texas Tech, I could see them having a very long day against Indiana. But if Oregon's defense can get going and create some 3-and-outs early, and they can score some points, I think Indiana might have a long game. I think this is a very even matchup, and I just don't know who could possibly win this game. But if I'm going to choose one team to play, I think I would love to see Mendoza, a Miami guy, Columbus alum, Cuban guy, represent Miami to play Miami on January 19th on Monday night, which would be incredible to see, honestly.
It'll be, as you say, cinema. Cinema. SoFlo cinema. So we're expecting that, again, Indiana, Miami in the final. That's what we're expecting. Those games going to be happening Thursday and Friday. But let's talk about the game that happened not too long ago, the push into the NFL playoffs. Obviously, your team has already made the playoffs. Was a little bit short of the AFC. So they're going to be playing in that first round. Broncos were able to get the first round bye in the AFC. But elsewhere in the AFC, real drama. What? You want to hold the brakes for what?
I want to hold the brakes on something. I'm not on you, but I want to say something to everybody out there. And I think Roger Goodell knew what he was doing when he did it. For some reason, the Broncos and the Patriots are fighting for the 1 seed on the very last week. But the Chargers decided to sit Justin Herbert out?
It happened before. Bro. It's happened before, man. It's happened before. And the funniest thing about it,
you solidify the Broncos getting the 1 seed. You give us a 2 seed, but guess what? The Chargers end up playing us. Hey,
no, but I think it's hilarious.
Go on. I'm gonna get heated up in a minute.
That happened I think last year, funny enough, where Kansas City already locked in the playoffs, and they had, what was it, Carson Wentz starting against the Broncos on the road where they get blown out. So, history repeats itself. But speaking of history, though, history was part of the AFC North. A lot of things transpired from the game. Obviously, during the game was more insane. This was a 26-24 victory for Pittsburgh. Aaron Rodgers, that with only 2 minutes remaining in the entire game, you're down by a bit. You need a touchdown. Somehow, some way, a minute and a half goes by, and he finds Tavon Austin for a touchdown. Now, I think when you look at the last drive from Baltimore, where you have Lamar Jackson, the likely in field goal range, it's a 44-yard kick for this Loop kid. Now, for those who don't know, this is a rookie, okay?
I know Loop, yeah.
Loop, a rookie, to win the division, to get a home playoff game, and quite frankly, for the Baltimore Ravens, to really be in a good spot where you can be Lamar can win some of these playoff games, finally. There's no Kansas City Chiefs anymore. There's not really a real, the Buffalo Bills are not a threat. They're not even, winning their own division. This could be something good for Baltimore to get a home game, kick is up, and it's far right. Steelers go on to win the AFC North, again, 26-24. And the most sicko thing about this one, a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers, who finished the game with 294 passing yards, leads the way for this veteran team behind Mike Tomlin, who, if you really look at the history of this division, it's Tomlin and John Harbaugh have really been the two main guys in this division. Not anymore. Very true. Not anymore. Tomlin goes to the playoffs, and John Harbaugh is let go after 18 years of service in Baltimore. And I think this is probably the biggest change of the guard we've seen in today's day in NFL outside of Tom Brady, because John Harbaugh was John Harbaugh, Super Bowl champ, winning playoff record, winning record throughout. And again, you can say whatever you want. It's not like they had a dynasty or anything like that. But I can tell you right now, though, the last time the Dolphins had a Baltimore coach leave Baltimore and go to Miami was Don Shula when the Baltimore Colts were still around. So I'm not saying that's going to happen because they have Mike McDaniel, but I think it's very interesting. 7 teams have already called up John Harbaugh. Jonka, I'm thinking for the Harbaugh news, because you always have reports that the Giants are heavily interested in the man. There's obviously the Raiders and Pete Carroll, one and done year with him. Arizona Cardinals, their head coach had a birthday the next day, gets fired. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of love lost after 3 years relationship. What do you think is the best spot for John Harbaugh right now?
Okay. If I'm going to be brutally honest, I'm going to say from what he did with Lamar Jackson, I think he knows how to run a team. I do think it's either the Giants, and now hear me out on this one.
Okay.
Just hear me out.
I like sicko takes. I'm not going to judge you.
I think the Tennessee Titans would be a perfect pairing, bro. Cam Ward and Harbaugh, to me, would be an astonishing pair, bro. With what Cam Ward can do when extending plays, and I think he has a better passing ability than Lamar Jackson. If he can get that defense right and get everybody organized, fix the. I think he can fix the offensive line. I think they can do it, but at the same time, I'm in between. If it's going to be the Titans, I think the Titans should get either Raheem Morris or Harbaugh. Those are the two ones I would pick.
You're talking about the former Atlanta Falcons head
Yes.
coach? That guy will not see a head coaching job. I'll tell you that right now.
I don't think he got the right I don't think he should have been fired. If I'm
Should have got fired.
I don't think he
If they
should have been
beat the
fired.
Saints, I'll tell you one thing. If they beat the Saints once this year, they would have been in the playoffs hosting a divisional game.
I think they were playing really I don't know. I just feel like Michael Penix injury prone, Kirk Cousins situation, they paid him and at the same time they drafted Michael Penix. They didn't fight for the position. There was a back and forth on what's going on with the team.
Yeah, the defense was the real reason you watch those Atlanta Falcons games.
The
To be
defense
honest,
was pretty good. Was pretty good. Drake
yeah,
London, Bijan Robinson,
they had
like
people.
Kyle Pitts, like they have a decent team. I just think the quarterback position was the one that really screwed him. I don't think he got enough. I don't think he got enough time to really show what he can do. I think if you gave him one more year and Michael Penix comes back healthy, I could see they would have been more dangerous. But hey, they just had to let him go.
Yeah,
But I do think Harbaugh ends up by the Giants with Jackson Dart, and I think with him getting Scatabo and then Malik Neighbors and probably drafting another receiver. Now here's the one thing I don't want to see with Harbaugh in the Giants. It's the same thing that what happened on Baltimore, where he focused too much on the defense, which is he had good players. Don't get me wrong,
yeah,
but they literally did not draft well on the receiving side. Knowing that history, if I'm Malik Neighbors and I see that this team is not heading in the right direction for his skill set, I'm bolting and I can see another dumpster fire happening under his watch. And I think his credibility will fall if he doesn't hit on a wide receiver this draft. If you don't
yeah,
get somebody that can be your future for the team, Jackson Dart will underperform. Malik Neighbors underperform. Listen, plus it's the Giants, so you better be on top of your shit. I'm just saying that right now.
yeah. No, but I think the biggest thing about that franchise though is like, dude, the GM is still there. Like,
For some
I don't
reason,
even know the guy's name. The only thing I know him by is the fact that on Hard Knocks, like the what was it, the freaking front office
the
Hard
kid.
Knocks or whatever. Yeah, but the kid is like, oh, Jaden Daniels, and the dad's like, whatever. And then the owner's like, if we trade Saquon Barkley to the Eagles, it's gonna even better yet, if we give up Saquon and the Eagles pick him up, it's gonna be a nightmare. I have to live with every single day. And unfortunately, that guy's living with a nightmare through Super Bowl. You know, I don't know how that guy still has a job in the NFL.
I will say though, I was telling Daniel this. If that situation happens and the team still ends up being underwhelming, Malik Neighbors is out of there.
Yeah,
If Malik Neighbors leaves, oh buddy, oh buddy, all the Giants fans are going to be livid, and I'm telling you, livid, because they're going to be on another search for a star receiver on that team, and it's going to be under Harbaugh, and it's going to be back to the same situation that you have in Baltimore, where you have a
yeah,
quarterback that is just basically scrambling for his life, trying to make plays, and the receivers all mediocre at best. And you got a running back that just likes to like pound it in, and not really like no skill running backs.
yeah. I mean, again, Tracy, I know a lot of people are not fans. I'm a fan of Tracy.
I like Tracy.
I like Tracy. But yeah, I mean, the Giants side of things, I think it's going to be more of like, do the players want to stick around with Hardball? And I'll probably say the same thing about the Baltimore Ravens. Who is that next guy going to be? And more importantly, is Lamar Jackson going to stick around? Like, is any of these guys offensively, where you look at Likely, who can be starting anywhere? Mark Andrews, who can be starting anywhere? Zay Flowers, who I don't know how he got a Pro Bowl bid, but a Pro Bowler. Like, do these guys stick around in Baltimore? I don't believe so. A lot of people, I mean, there was a columnist for the
I'm
Baltimore.
looking at right now.
Mm-hmm. But I'm telling you though, Baltimore Sun columnist was talking about Lamar going to Miami. I can see that very much happening, knowing that Tua Tagovailoa, he's probably not going to be coming back as a starter for the Dolphins. Mike McDaniel said at the end of his press conference in media avail that it's going to be whoever is going to be competitive. It's going to be a very competitive quarterback room going through training camp. Could be someone on the current roster, maybe Quinn Ewers, and maybe Tua. As listen, we just lost Jonka here. All right. But, oh, here we go.
Yep. There we go.
Yeah, scared me there for a second. I was like
okay, so I'm looking at right here. I can, if Derrick Henry will probably, if you're the Ravens, do you keep Derrick Henry or do you just let him go? Or do you trade him away?
No, I would keep Derrick Henry because
you wouldn't restart.
Look, I would think in a perspective of like, let's say Lamar leaves. What else do I got? You know, Henry's been on a crappy team for a majority of his life in the NFL when he was at the Titans. Yeah. I don't think it's a bad idea for the Ravens to be like, yeah, let's build around Henry right now. You know, I think Tennessee did it and they became a playoff team. Lamar Jackson, let's say he gets traded again. I said previously where Mike McDaniel was talking about, you know, the quarterback could be someone on this roster currently, could be someone out there. It'll be a competitive quarterback room. Let's say Tua gets traded away with a bunch of picks and go to Baltimore or something like that of that nature. I think if you have Henry to stick around, yeah, the offense is doable. Great defensive pieces still in Baltimore. I think they'll stay. The offense is the only question I have.
I don't know, man. I just think the Ravens after Harbaugh situation. If you think Lamar is your future, and you think that the next head coach that you find that you think there's a head coach out there that can take Lamar to a Super Bowl is out there, then by all means do what you want. But I think right now, in this current market, for all head coaches that were fired or available, I don't think there's one that could take the Ravens to the Super Bowl right now. And because of that, that's why I would say to just rebuild and start over and trade Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry for whatever you could possibly get.
Yeah.
Get as many picks as possible. And then whatever head coach that you sign or you get, you try to work as best. I mean, I don't know how to like. I know it's a very out there idea. It's very like the last thing that could possibly happen. But I just think Baltimore is in that situation where are we just gonna wait another 5 to 6 years or maybe even more for Lamar Jackson to try and just Superman his way into potentially giving us Super Bowl appearance at least? Is there a damn head coach out there that can take him? That's gonna leave their position as a good head coach and go with Lamar Jackson to play in Baltimore? I don't think Baltimore is the right market for Lamar. If I'm gonna be very honest, I think South Florida, Miami it would be perfect for Lamar. Him being a South Florida guy. I think if I'm Lamar, I would ask for a trade, and I would prefer him go to Miami. And then if whatever Miami can do to get rid of him, maybe the salaries match up with Tua, and maybe Tua's skill set is what the head coach they're looking for wants, then okay. I think Tua with a good offensive line can do some damage.
Yeah, and we've seen that.
But we've seen that here. But that's the only thing with not expecting the Dolphins to be anywhere competent on the offensive line. I think a quarterback that could scramble and create plays like Lamar can is the guy that Mike McDaniel wants and needs for his offense. So, I mean, I'm not saying for an exact swap of quarterbacks, but maybe throw in some, I don't know, some picks and maybe some players for Baltimore. Maybe Jalen Wright. They need a backup running back to Derrick Henry. I don't know. I just I just don't see Baltimore being anywhere relevant after this signing. I'm sorry for Lamar, but I'm really sorry, but it ain't gonna
Yeah.
happen, buddy.
No, and it makes sense though. It really does make sense. But and the reason why I even mentioned earlier going to this topic about like, a Baltimore coach going to Miami, the last one was Don Shula, maybe John Harbaugh might do something. According to sources, there's already like a few people who have already like been talking for the GM job for the Dolphins. Apparently, Troy Aikman is a part of it. Then you have Dan Marino being a part of like, and I'm talking about the people that are like overlooking like the actual process of finding
Yeah,
a GM. The owner, the owner's son-in-law, which I guess is a co-owner, a few other executives,
yeah,
but no Mike McDaniel.
that's good.
The head coach not being involved in this, that only foreshadows that if there is going to be another GM going to Miami, that let's say it's not Champ Kelly, it's probably going to be an outside source that is going to be looking on the outside of what a McDaniel future is. And the crazy thing about it, because there's a lot of 49ers and Packers front office executives involved in this chase, and a lot of connection between Mike McDaniel and we all know about that world famous Reds, apologies, Washington Commanders staff that had Kyle Shanahan and LaFleur and all those coaches. You know, those are real connections. Like Mike Dino has connection with those 49ers people. I think if a 49er executive gets hired for a GM position, he might stay. But it's eye-opening, though. The head coach not involved in the future of the team.
It's a very tender situation with the Dolphins right now because I can see why having a GM that is with Mike McDaniel would benefit the team,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, wouldn't I could see why an owner would want a GM that has nothing to do with the head coach, just for the simple fact that if they're not affiliated with the head coach, their sole job is to be a GM and not like a, like an assistant to the coach where it's like, oh, I need you to give me this, this, and this. See what you can
Yeah.
do. I think Miami is gonna have to find a GM if they're gonna try to do something next year. A GM that knows how to recruit in the trenches. I think that's what they need. I think a trenches guy that can do it will be fine. I think he'll have his team, whatever. But a guy specifically that can draft O line and D line would do wonders for Miami. And then everything else after that, give it like 2 or 3 years with him. I let him build his trenches, and then we'll see what they could do with the DBs and the receivers.
Yeah.
Because
Because
just right
again, I
now,
think
the money's not there.
I think the one thing I would probably say the Dolphins draft history, great special players where you have, Jalen Waddle come in, Devon Achane come in, Patrick Paul. I still love Patrick Paul on the left
Yep.
side. I think he'll be good long term. But Austin Jackson, Leon Eichenberg, and now with
Jordan Brooks.
Jordan Brooks. Wait, what are
He's
you talking
awesome.
about?
I love
Yeah,
Jordan Brooks.
Jordan Brooks. I'm talking about the draft picks.
Bro.
Yeah, I'm talking about the offensive line draft picks in the recent years that were just terrible. I think, as you said before, if they get out of their way and just care about the offensive line with this new general manager, then you have a real shot. You have a real shot. But speaking of shots, we got to end this podcast the only way I know how. Talk about playoff football here. Jonka, I'm not going to ask you who's going to win the Super Bowl, right? I think we all know what your answer is going to be. But what I am going to ask you, the first round of these playoffs, I want to start with the AFC.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we'll just get this out of the way. New England versus the Chargers. How do you think the Patriots are going to go into that game? And who do you think will be the winner of that?
Yeah. Me as a person, not like a New England player, but as a fan, um, I just think that I feel like New England feels disrespected in a way where just the situation we were talking about a few minutes ago, where because they sat out Justin Herbert that last week of the season, and then basically solidifying the 1 seed for the Broncos, and then funny enough how it works, the Chargers have to play us in Foxborough, and they think, oh, because they're not the Broncos, they think they think we're an easier game. Fool's gold, buddy. You're gonna be playing in Foxborough in the cold, not LA, and Drake May and everybody else is Will Campbell's back. Milton Williams is back. Possibly
Okay, we lost Jonka there for a second. He might load back. Apologize for that. But as he was saying, though, this is not the same New England team as old. This Chargers team is obviously a 7 seed going against a number 2 in New England. And, again, Jonka dealing with some internet issues. But I'm going to finish out the podcast like this, giving you my picks. I got New England beating out the Chargers in that one in the first round. And that one, again, in Foxborough, I think it's going to be a big matchup. Now, I'm going to bring Jonka back in here.
Yeah, I'm back. I don't know what's going on today.
Yeah, a lot of internet things going on, man.
But yeah, I was saying Robert Spillane, our starting linebacker, could be possibly coming back from injury, which would be great for our run stopping, and possibly Kyrus Tonga, our defensive tackle, who's been great this year. This has been his career year. I don't know what the Chargers are on right now, but I think Drake May is going to go in there like, okay, you want to play on that? You want to play that script? All right. Then you're going to F around and find out. And I think we're going to blow them out. I really do think we're going to blow them out,
yeah,
Brandon.
I do like that as well.
Because that game they played is not messing with me, bro. I honestly do feel disrespected that they actually pulled that BS. And the same thing for the I know we're gonna talk about the Broncos in a second, but the fact that you didn't score a single offensive touchdown against the Chargers, it was a pick six, and then the rest were field goals. You didn't get one offensive touchdown, and Justin Herbert wasn't playing. I'm sorry, yeah, the Broncos might be a one and done game, bro. Like they get that first round bye, but they might. I'm just saying that right. I'm just saying right now, putting it out there.
And last year they had a hard time against Buffalo, which again they could potentially play against. And this is a game that you have again in the first round. Buffalo on the road to Jacksonville. Not a lot of people even seen this.
That's a good game.
I think, I'm a very sicko when it comes to football. I like the fact that if Jacksonville comes out with the retro jersey, the cool little tiger patch on the side, Trevor Lawrence playing the best football of his career, even though Travis Hunter injured, you still got your playmakers. Defense is reeling in well. Winners of the division, or a division where the Colts were 8-1, 8-2 to start the year. Kind of weird to see him miss the playoffs. But I like the Jaguars in this game. Buffalo in an off season goes on the road and have to be road warriors basically throughout the rest of these playoffs as a 6 seed. I don't see the Jaguars slowing down. I like Trevor Lawrence dealing. He came off a 3-touchdown game over 300 yards passing against the Tennessee Titans, ensures the Titans. But, this Jaguars team has been hot in the right part of the year. I like the Jags in this one. I honestly think Trevor Lawrence, it's going to be a different AFC look in the second round.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree. I know the Bills are a good team. They got Josh Allen. They got James Cook, but they've been dealing with injuries on the defensive side. The receiving core, like I said at the beginning of even before the season, that I just think it's whatever. It's Keon Coleman might be the biggest flop to even talk about in NFL. But yeah, I just think the Jaguars, the way they're playing right now, the confidence. I think that game's at home, right?
It is going to be in Jacksonville. Very disgusting, but the Buffalo Bills will be hosted by the Jaguars. I'm still here. Yeah.
Bro. I just if Buffalo Bills lose this game, I think there's going to be a really tough discussion with Sean. I think Sean McDermott as the head coach.
Yeah.
We could be seeing another potential firing, bro.
We could, because this
Same
is,
thing with the Steelers, by the way.
yeah. But again, no Lamar Jackson this one. No Patrick Mahomes in these playoffs. The AFC, like, I think the crazy thing about it too, the three biggest teams in the AFC playoff picture were like 5 and 4 win teams last year, like not even considered to even be on the uprise. And now they're leading the way. So Buffalo could be on the back end of that. We both agree it's going to be Jacksonville. We both agree on New England. This is a 5-4 seed Pittsburgh coming out of their way and hosting the Houston Texans. Look, I think Aaron still got it. This is obviously a team that I said in the beginning of the year, when you're making trades for Jalen Ramsey, when you got Jonnu Smith, when your offense looks good. DK Metcalf will be coming back from suspension to play in this game. It's just the right time. It's the right timing. I think CJ Stroud, I think that you look at the Houston Texans, that's going to be a hard matchup. That's going to be a hard matchup. But I do got Pittsburgh winning that one at home.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree in the sense where I just think that Pittsburgh's offense is way more potent than Houston's. I mean, you got Jaden Higgins and Woody Marks. And I mean, Dalton Schultz is good, but he's not a difference maker.
Mm-hmm.
It's not enough. I mean, yeah, sure, maybe Nico Collins can have a crazy game, but I just think that Pittsburgh defense can hold you to less points than I don't know. The Houston Texans defense is really good. It's really good.
Yeah.
And if they can get to Aaron Rodgers, I think it could be a really, really bad game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I can see them losing, but in my mind, I just don't see the Texans scoring more points than the Steelers, and that's why I have the Steelers winning, just for the fact that the offense is not as good. Maybe next year, if they draft somebody on offense, maybe fix that offensive line, which is absolute dog water in Houston, by the way. So that's the only way I could see the Steelers winning. But overall, I just don't think the Steelers defense is as good as the Texans. But that's just me. But
yeah,
I think Steelers win though. I think Steelers win 24-13.
24-13. So not even more than 2 touchdowns by the Texans.
No, wow. I don't see it happening.
Wow. Well, the Texans actually playing a wild card weekend, not on like a Monday, Sunday random schedule. So good for them. We both have the Steelers winning that one. I want to go in the NFC because there's a lot of matchups that could honestly, they should be like NFC championship matchups, some of these games. Insanity. Yeah, and this is probably the funniest one. San Francisco again going on the road in the playoffs to face off against the Philadelphia Eagles as a 6 seed taking on the 3 seed Philadelphia. And this was a team in San Fran that could have been the number 1 seed in the NFC if they won their game against Seattle. Couldn't even get a touchdown against Seattle at home.
Nope.
A lot of people have been afraid of the Eagles, like declining. People talk about why are they losing these games? You know, like this Justin, it hurts in the right mindset to go ahead. Are we the same team as they were last year? I'm going to give you the hottest take I could probably give you in the entire playoff bracket.
I think I'm with you. I think I know where you're going with this.
I think that the Eagles are not in the right page. I think they're chopping it up in the last weeks, and it's not looking good. I have San Fran coming in this one. I believe a little bit more in Brock Purdy than I should, or what I usually do, because I'm a big Brock Purdy denier as a Jimmy Garoppolo fan, as you know. But I still like San Fran. They had good chance against Seattle. Seattle obviously is a great defensive squad that we've seen all year, dominate. But San Fran, 13-win team. When you look at Philadelphia, the first time anyone's won the NFC East back-to-back years in 20 some years. So I still think that this team by Kyle Shanahan could be led in the right direction and beat out Philadelphia. I don't like Philadelphia in this one.
You have, who do you have? You said again? The 49ers?
I got San Francisco beating out Philadelphia, who's playing poor football towards the end of the year.
I don't think we're on the same page, buddy.
Oh, you got Eagles?
I think we're in a situation where, sure, the 49ers had a crazy good year, despite how many injuries they've had. I think they overachieved. And I think the Eagles are hitting a stride right now, like a very sneaky stride, where if they can if Jalen Hurts can just play good offensive football, I think the Eagles could be very dangerous. I think the Eagles win this one by 10 points.
10?
By 10 points. Or even more.
So stretch it out a little bit. Okay.
I just don't see the 49ers scoring as many. I mean, McCaffrey, yeah, sure. But I just don't see the 49ers doing too much right now. Maybe next year, but not this year.
Yeah, I just don't believe that McCaffrey's going to get shut out again like he did against Seattle. I don't think there's a guy on defense. Maybe Cooper DeJean does something. Yeah. Maybe, but
my only thing is why I say this, and I know this could be very weird, but I just don't see anybody on the 49ers or even the entirety of the defense for the 49ers stopping Devontae, A.J. Brown, Goddard, and Saquon Barkley for the entire game. I don't see it happening. And if Jalen Hurts does what he usually does and in the playoffs and gets hot, this game could even be a blowout. It could even be a blowout. I don't see the 49ers being that team this year. Maybe next year again, but I just don't see them stopping this Eagles offense right now.
Okay, so we're 50-50 split down the middle on this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give out a go Birds, but hopefully I'm wrong because there's a lot of Philadelphia people that I know that are like, the Bears are looking horrible. Like, why are they losing these games against the Commanders and stuff? And I'm like, well, that's because they're playing bad football at the end. Maybe they switched up in the playoffs. But speaking about switching things up, though, how about we switch up the script in the NFC North? The Bears hosting the Packers in a playoff game. Now, Caleb Williams in the Chicago team, Caleb Williams having the single most passing yards in Bears history for Chicago. He's on an all-time high. This Bears team is obviously on an all-time high. It's a second-seeded team. Going to be taking on the Green Bay Packers, who kind of went under the radar this year. Jordan Love injury. Should have won a few games that they were fighting for, 9-7 and 1 tie against the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not going to go too much explanation about this. I just have a good feeling. I feel really good about the Bears. I like that you have a team in the previous matchup, late December, beat out Packers 22-16. You go play a game in Chicago from a fan base that is dying to win a game like this. Many years have passed on, eons of a playoff game where they haven't been able to perform well. Now you get to do that against one of your most hated rivals. I think Caleb Williams, this will be the Caleb Williams game where in Bears lore, it's like, oh, this puts him over Justin Fields. This puts him over Jay Cutler. This puts him over on a high pedestal in this century. I got the Bears beating out the Packers in round 1.
I'm going to have to agree.
Nice.
Only on the sole fact that I think because of the loss of Micah Parsons on the defensive side, the pass rush will not be there for the Packers. So I think the Bears win this. I think it'll be a close game, but I think it's going to be by I think I'm going to say maybe 4 or 5 points, like close.
Yeah, I was gonna say like a touchdown
Okay,
difference.
I can see that.
I could definitely see a touchdown difference. I don't think it's gonna be a blowout, but I think the Bears are gonna control a lot in the
Right
second half.
now, ESPN has the Packers winning 56% to 44%.
Yeah, it's the Packers though. It's the Packers. It's down the split, really, in my opinion.
The thing is, Jordan Love in the playoffs is another breed, bro.
Yeah, but dying. The Bear fans have been dying to see this type of matchup happen.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, like that's for me. If the Dolphins ever in my lifetime host a playoff game against like New England, yeah, I'm dying to see the Dolphins win that game. Like
To see them win,
to see the Dolphins win a home playoff game against New England, a division rival, dying to see that. That's the same scenario for the Bears. You've got a Packers team that's always been on top of the division, has been the cornerstone franchise of your division that you haven't been able to get over. And now you finally have a chance to be like, hey, we're hosting. This is our game. We're going to celebrate right in front of you. That's what I think this game is going to be for Bears fans.
okay. I mean, you might not ever see it, but sure.
But again, the last game we have to talk about for the night, and I think this will be a real quick one. Rams on the road to the Panthers. Now, for those who have been very confused about the NFC South, I'm going to tell you how crazy the scenarios were Sunday. If the Buccaneers were in the playoffs, that means the Saints beat out the Falcons. That didn't happen. The Falcons beat out the Saints, which means the Panthers came in the playoffs. But at the same time, if the Falcons beat the Saints once this year, then that means that the Falcons would have been in the playoffs hosting a playoff game. But if somehow the Buccaneers won one, if not two, of their last 5 games, they would have had this division on lock. I don't know how the hell the Panthers got here, but they're in the playoffs for the first time since 2017, hosting a game on Wild Card Weekend. Jonka, I am very confident in saying this because there's a lot of Bryce Young haters out there. I am one of them. I'm not planning to see Bryce Young lead a playoff win against the Rams. I'm expecting to see more Matthew Stafford.
You're leading me on there, bro.
What are you talking about? I'm not with this Panther train. I'm telling you that right now. Like, I don't know what's going on in the city of Charlotte. Like, the Hornets beat out OKC by a good margin. And then now you have the Carolina Panthers winning games and making the playoffs. But I think this is good enough for Bryce Young. I think it's a good direction for the franchise. I don't think they get further than this, really. I got the Rams winning it by 2 touchdowns, to be honest. Matthew Stafford's having one of those years. Puka's having one of those years. I think the Rams figure it out on the road as they always do.
How much? What do you have them winning by?
I have it, I hate to be like a Vegas guy with lines and all, but I put like 17.5 line. I think they get 2 touchdowns more. I don't think the Panthers are on the same stratosphere as the Rams, in my opinion. I just don't.
I also have the Rams winning. Don't get me wrong. But I have this being a very close game than you think.
Really? Okay, so this is a fight.
I have this being like a field goal difference.
Wow.
I think the Panthers, bro. I think they're gonna, since they're playing at home, they're gonna be motivated, extra energy. The crowd's gonna be into it. And if LA gives them an opening or a chance to stay in the game, they will take abuse of it. And we've seen the Rams this year lose games like this where you never expected. Like we just saw 2 weeks ago with the Falcons. They lost to, I forgot who it was. They lost to the Panthers 31-28 at Panthers, by the way. So they've already had the confidence that we already beat them once. We could do it again.
Yeah, but it's a different animal though in the playoffs. I think, look, Matthew Stafford is the last person I want to see in the month of January besides Mr. Jack Frost. I don't want to see a cold-blooded dude on the road in my building. Like, I know Matthew Stafford's going to deal. I don't know about Bryce Young because this would, again, correct me if I'm not mistaken, but Bryce Young's first ever playoff game.
Yes.
So it gets harder for the offense on that perspective. And again, young core, love the receiving core. Obviously, McMillan has been one of the top guys out of his rookie class. And then you have the kid from South Carolina that's a born and raised guy in the Carolinas. I forgot his name. Like, was it Leverjet or something like that? Levet or whatever.
Leggett?
Yeah, Leggett. Yeah, so born and raised native kid. So there's a lot of good storylines on this team. I just don't – I think it's too soon. I think it's way too soon. For Bryce Young, good time for his development, but I think for the rest of the roster, offensively, too soon to be putting up big numbers against the Rams.
I just think just that home crowd is going to give them a little boost.
Yeah.
That can give the Rams a little bit of a scare. And plus, I think this game is also important for the MVP race.
Okay, so you think
if Matthew Stafford doesn't play his A game, and I predict that Drake May is going to cook the Chargers and just blow them out because of the disrespect. Matthew Stafford is going to have to cook these Panthers, bro. Panther meat. And I don't know. If he really wants that MVP trophy after all these years, he's going to have to be on his A game. And I think if this game ends up being close as I think it's going to be, it might not be in his favor. I don't know. I don't know. This game scares me for the Rams, bro. It really does scare me because I feel like the Rams are one of those teams where I think they're second in the NFC to win it all, besides the Seahawks.
They have a good bracket. They have a good bracket. Because, again, a win out of this, actually, funny enough, I believe, let me double check if this is true. A win out of this is to face Seattle, if I'm not mistaken.
Seattle plays the lowest remaining seed. So if the Eagles win and the Bears win, but the Rams win, then they would have to play the Seahawks. That's cinema right there, bro.
Yeah, which is a tough, and again, on the road, tough one. Will be an awesome game to see, though. And, and even vice versa, because for Seattle's point, let's say Green Bay moves on as a 7th seed. You have to face against Green Bay if they beat out Chicago. Or let's even take it a step further. A rematch against the 49ers. Bro. That's another hard matchup. So there is really no easy team in the NFC. But to me, the only easy team that I would bet on would be the Panthers, though. I don't think Carolina gets past this Rams team. This is a different bred team. A lot of Super Bowl caliber winning players and coaches are still on this roster. And that's what I think will be the biggest difference against youth. I mean, we saw, and funny enough, we talked about a little bit about the Hurricanes. I mean, that was the biggest difference we see in these playoffs where you have sophomore quarterbacks going against guys who are in their 5th, 4th year bound for the NFL. It makes a difference. And I think that makes a difference in this matchup in the first round for the Rams.
I can see that.
So I'm telling you, but again, all those first rounds happening January 10th and 11th. We'll talk about that in playoffs in our next Sideline episode. Again, we want to thank everybody for showing in for the first one of 2026. And, I don't know when Danny is going to be coming back from Australia, but we're going to have Plug Talk throughout the entire week once again. So stay tuned for that.
And on Friday, Plug Picks is back.
Yes.
I'm probably going to be doing it in the around 10, 11 in the morning because of the game at that night. But so we're going to be making picks for NFL picks that on Friday morning. So if you guys like to gamble with Price Picks and Hard Rock Bet and everything, follow me. It's popping over there, bro. I go through everything. And I'm telling you, I go through everything. Who's playing, who's not playing, who I think is going to happen, defensive rankings, rushing, everything. I go everything and what I go through. And I like to go crazy. So have fun with me. Plug Picks, probably 11 o'clock in the morning.
11 o'clock in the morning. rise and shine type of material, college game day type of thing. So look out for that. Look out for everything. But we'll see you guys next week on Sideline. Stay tuned.
Support the troops.